Hey, how's it going? Back to another video, and this time we're going to be testing out this little rub and buff. Hey, easy there. Rub and buff paint. So we got silver leaf, antique gold, and gold leaf. What we're going to try and do is we want to try and make this. I printed this on my resin 3D printer. It is the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. Did you ever know that that's a little guy between his legs there? Anyway, we're going to try and make this look gold just like the idol. I did try it earlier, the silver leaf, on this replica of the Stanley Cup, because the only way we're going to get a Stanley Cup in Minnesota is if you just go out and make one yourself. So I did this, and it turned out silver. I wouldn't say it's super shiny silver, but I haven't buffed it out yet. So I printed this little sculpture on my Elegoo Mars printer, I think it was. Mars of the Saturn. I'm a fan of the resin printers. Some people say they're messy, and they are. But I printed this a few months back. First thing I want to do is, since it's been sitting in my shop, collecting dust for a few months, I'm just going to give it a spritz with some rubbing alcohol. Clean all the dust off. Make sure we get a good bond with the rub and buff. Clean out the teeth there. I'm an idle dentist. Yep, so we'll set that down. We'll let that dry for a few minutes. Now, I actually read the directions for a change. And all it says is that apply to most surfaces, polish with a cloth, and clean with mineral spirits. So it does, mineral spirits does take it out. We'll open this just like that. And we'll put on our gloves. Now when I put it on the Stanley Cup, I used both a brush and I used just a piece of shop towel. The shop towel seemed to work pretty darn good, but getting down into the ridges and stuff, if you don't want that sort of weathered look, then you'll probably want to use a brush. All right. Yeah, so let's take some of this gold leaf. What I did before was I just worked from top to bottom. We'll just kind of spritz a little bit. A little bit, this goes a long way. Set that off to the side. And then since there's a lot of ridges in this, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just going to use a brush just to kind of work it down on all those ridges. Well, that's one coat of paint down. I think we'll let this dry, and then we'll probably buff it out. One thing I noticed on the first coat, and I think I'll need a second coat, precisely because I didn't prime the idol at all. I did prime the Stanley Cup with some gray primer, and this seemed to cover a lot more evenly. This is also FDM, so it's got ridges. You can kind of see I didn't really sand this. I didn't do a lot of prep for this at all. I put about as much effort into this as the Wild put into their actual Stanley Cup. But yeah, for this one, I think maybe a prime would have helped. That resin is a lot slicker. The paint did go pretty far, but it just didn't want to stick to some of the resin areas. Using the brush was a good call. The cloth would have left a lot of these ridges empty. So we'll let this dry. I'll probably give it an overnight dry, and then I'll put on a second coat, and we'll see what it looks like. So I gave it a second coat, and you can see the second coat really paid off. I actually gave it 2.5 coats. I did some touch-up. But after 2.5 coats, this thing is pretty impressive. It has a really nice finish. I just need to probably do a light sand on this thing. Coverage wasn't as good as, say, a spray paint, obviously. But I think it turned out pretty good. The problem area was right there where there wasn't any paint adhering. And again, I think priming would have really helped this out. So just a a light priming or even a gold spray paint and putting this stuff over it, it really has a nice shine. And when you rub it with a paper towel, it looks way better. One other thing I want to show you here is, so I got Rub and Buff on my hands here. But that Stanley Cup that we did earlier, I wasn't impressed with the way it looked. And that's because I really didn't do any finishing. But I took some graphite powder, and that really gave it a metallic look. It's a lot duller of a finish than I wanted, but I just used some graphite powder on that thing. You just, sharpen a bunch of pencils or shave some pencils. I actually have a thing of graphite powder I bought for a Mandalorian helmet. But yeah, pretty happy with the Rub and Buff. And I think the graphite powder, which I just experimented on this, pretty happy with that. I think maybe another couple coats. All I did was I just dumped graphite powder on it and just started rubbing on it with my hands, with the gloved hands. Anyway, hope this helps. If you're interested in Rub and Buff, I say go for it. Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks for watching.